Good morning, Las Vegas. Welcome to the VMware Code Booth. I'm Jake Bogie, and I'm here to talk to you all basically about how to start a cloud-native journey with the Pivotal platform. So I'm a cloud platform architect here with the Pivotal group. I've been working with Pivotal for a little over a year and a half now. And what I wanted to do is kind of give you all an idea of what we're doing, how we're going to help you, and not only that, but like what are some of the market trends and shifts that are happening right now. So first off, how many of you are familiar with the Pivotal platform? Way cool. Okay. So I like to start most of my presentations off with like interesting statistics and slides and things that'll kind of give you an idea of like what's happening inside of the market. So one of the interesting things that I saw earlier this year was the fact that there's quite a bit of spend that's happening in cloud-native applications, and it's actually eclipsed cloud-native infrastructure. So what that trend is really showing me is that there's more of a focus towards actually delivering applications out to the consumers and delivering value back to a business than it is in building things. So how many folks here actually do engineering of systems and infrastructure? One? Cool. Everybody else? Software engineering, development practice? Awesome. So kind of the idea is we're starting to see more of a shift towards folks focusing on that development practice than the traditional IT experience that we've seen over the last couple of years. And what do you think that major shift has been just in the past year? Has it been Kubernetes? Because in my mind, there's a ton of focus on being able to deliver containerized applications and being able to deliver outcomes in a very simplistic way. And Kubernetes has kind of made that happen. So you got Kubernetes installed. Now what? Like, what's that next step? What really drives that evolution of the software practice inside of an organization? Well, first off, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. You got to figure out how to monitor and manage. You got to figure out how to patch, how to life cycle, how to basically run a Kubernetes operation in order for your development team to actually see true value. And in most cases, the biggest question that a lot of folks are having is, are we actually doing the right thing by building these platforms when we should really be focusing on what that software is that we're delivering back out to our consumers and our end users in the business? So if we were to dissect it a little bit and kind of look at all of the pieces and parts that go into building out a Kubernetes environment, or even building out the basis of what that platform is, there's a lot of stuff to do. And it's not easy, right? You've got to be aware of the different types of hardware and operating systems. You've got to be able to stay on top of any of the patches and the compliance reasons for having to run and operate those platforms. And what I've seen working with a bunch of enterprise customers over the past year and a half is there's a lot of people that want to build their own platform, and they lose sight of the fact that really the developer experience is what matters. And if you think about it, you know, every time that there's a new business unit need or some new form of business that needs to be launched and run for a development project, that's typically going to mean some form of a new platform to meet their needs. So if we're doing this over and over again, we're going to be seeing the same types of patterns and the same types of challenges that make basically building your own platform not really smart. So what we like to do at Pivotal is basically say, we've got the best way for you to build, run, and manage the software that your enterprise needs to deliver to its consumers and through its teams. So we'll take a step back to VMworld. How many folks were at VMworld this year? Anyone? Yeah, cool. Yeah, a bunch of you guys were here. So Pat Gelsinger and Joe Beta were up on stage during the keynote, and they announced what's now known as the Tongue Zoo project inside of VMware. And what Tongue Zoo is it's this way of actually thinking about building, running, and managing software as a unit, no matter what cloud, no matter what infrastructure, no matter what the application is. And we at Pivotal, we're the ones that will actually help our customers achieve that building portion and building the software. The running and the managing of it, yes, we absolutely do help with that. But you'll start seeing more and more things coming out of VMware that will help your customers and your organizations be able to run and manage their software. But let's look at build for a second. Pivotal has been around for a bunch of years now, basically teaching people how to be fast at developing, how to be efficient at developing, and how to deliver value back to their customers in a more efficient manner. So when we think about building, running, and managing, Pivotal's main focus is really about this experience of making development teams fast, but being able to do it so that they can be fast forever. So not just once, not speeding up one project, but teaching you the practices and the ways to actually build and deliver value to your customers over and over and over again. So we really see that building is this idea of starting off with an engagement with us or some way of actually getting us to help you learn how to be faster at developing and how to actually deliver value to your consumers even quicker. And that comes in a couple of different practices. Now, we're very opinionated about how organizations should build and run software. And part of that is in some of the practices that we've got, like being able to look at technical debt and modernize your application portfolio, being able to actually do things like extreme programming and paired programming. And in a lot of cases, organizations have a hard time with a shift from a cultural standpoint of moving away from project-based development into product-based development. And that's really where we spend a lot of our time and our focus, is getting people to think of products and outcomes and be empathetic about what their users need and want. So Pivotal Labs really is about our customers and you all learning how to be better at developing and building those products that your customers and your consumers want. And we do it in a really interesting way, like Spring, the entire Spring framework. We are the largest contributors to the Spring framework. We're curating the Spring framework. If any of you were all at Spring One platform this year, you'll see that there is so much industry shift towards being able to just run and deliver Spring-based applications in a fast and efficient manner. And it's not just all about Java, too. We're really supporting the .NET community, too, with the Steel Toe project. And we're helping organizations basically look at ways of modernizing and delivering their applications, whether it be Java, Spring, .NET, or heck, any other polyglot-based language that you could think of. So a lot of people really are kind of struggling with this idea of like, hey, where does this fit in? Like, where do I take that first step? So how many folks here are actually developing with the Spring framework right now? Cool, yeah, a bunch of you. How about .NET? We've got every single tool available to take existing .NET applications and existing Spring applications and put them on a multi-cloud platform and teach you a way to actually run that platform as a product and run those application streams as a product themselves. And we do it in a way that's really interesting. So we talked about labs and how we can help you modernize those applications and modernize your development practices. But then there's also things like being able to deliver those applications in a CI/CD type of manner, whether it be through Concourse, one of our products, or Spinnaker, which is now becoming a more and more well-used Kubernetes way of delivering applications out to the clouds. So we embrace both of those fashions of delivering software out to your platform. And heck, if you're still using Jenkins or any of the other CI/CD tooling, we integrate with those too. Our platform and our practice is truly multi-cloud and multi-use. We want everybody to be able to just easily integrate into the platform and run it. So what is the platform? Really, it's a way of abstracting all of the clouds with a common runtime layer that basically takes the focus away from building the platform and building the pieces and the components to what really matters, which is the applications themselves. It's this idea of being able to have a container management and orchestration system that's abstracted away from your users. Being able to have a routing, ingress, and security layer that is abstracted away. Your development community and your end users really should only have to focus on their product and being able to push their product out to a platform without having to worry about the individual nuances and challenges of those pieces and parts. So what we do is we take a hybrid model and we can basically run a Pivotal platform on-premise and in any of the public clouds. So you can have the same experience, whether it be running on VMware vSphere in your own data center, as it would be in running on AWS. It's a common abstraction. So one single platform that your development community and your operators have to interact with versus having to know the individual pieces and parts of those different clouds and those different platforms. So it truly is a modular design. I can take and run my platform on AWS, I can run it on vSphere, and I've got the ability to basically say, anything that I deploy out to vSphere, I can also deploy out to AWS. And we're doing some really interesting things. We're actually brokering public cloud native services back to all of the different clouds that we offer. So you can leverage, through your platform, AWS native services as services that would basically be native to your local Pivotal instance. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. In fact, we're actually having another talk this afternoon and on Thursday that's all around how to broker cloud services directly into the Pivotal platform. But let's talk about the value line. I mentioned the value line a little bit ago. It's really this idea where when I talk to a lot of my customers and a lot of my friends that are doing this, they're all thinking about, how do I build? What pieces do I need to actually stand that platform up? What does my development community want to use for tooling? And I keep asking them, why are you focusing at the infrastructure and the plumbing levels? Why aren't you focusing at the level that your consumers are really focused at, which is like the container API, or the application API layer, or even the function APIs? Like that in my mind, and in Pivotal's mind, is where true value is. When you're focusing above those lines, like what are my containerized applications? What are the applications that I'm developing, and what are the functions that I'm developing? We basically say, we can take any of the clouds, layer on that platform, abstract out the operating system, abstract out all of the different components that you would need to build and manage below those value lines, and do it in a way where we're actually providing orchestration, registration, and management of these systems so that your consumers can basically push an application. So if we look at the container API, if you stand up the Pivotal platform or the Pivotal container service on top of any of these clouds, you'll be receiving the network. You'll be receiving the operating system. You'll be receiving all of the pieces and parts that build that platform as a product and orchestrate it, manage it, and run it in a fashion that you'll then be able to say, all I need to focus on is delivering containers to that platform. I integrate in a way of deploying containers directly to the Pivotal platform into my CI/CD tooling, and it's as simple as kube control run, there's my container. The next piece is if we were to say, okay, containers are cool, but I really don't want to have to manage the life cycle of containers. I really want to focus on just source code of those Java or Spring applications or even those .NET applications. I want to move up a little bit higher. That's where the Pivotal platform really started out with its true value, was being able for customers to take their source code and get it to production in the fastest manner possible. So we started out with this idea of build packs. And what a build pack was is a consumer would actually interact with the Pivotal platform and say, here's my source code, run it in the cloud, I do not care how. And they would send their source code via the CF push command line directly to the platform. The platform would then recognize what language that code was, whether it was Spring or .NET, and it would package it up in a build pack, containerize it, store it as an artifact inside of the platform, and then deploy it out to however many different clusters or different instances that that application needed. So it was really making a shift of moving that value line from building and deploying containers and worrying about those components towards, let me just focus on the source code. Let me focus on the applications themselves. And what we've done is we've made it so that that platform managed routing, load balancing, encryption, and security for all of those different channels of those applications as you were pushing them into the platform. So you think about it, I've got applications going out to production. I've got all of these different components that I need to think about around how am I logging, how am I monitoring, how am I doing the metrics. It's all built into the platform itself. It's this idea of being able to stand up a product, stand up a way for my developers to interact with a platform that takes away all of the pieces and parts that really slow down what is truly delivering value out to our customers, which is software development and business outcomes. So we've got this mentality of, if it's a container, I want to just be able to push the container directly to the platform. If it's an application, I want the platform to be able to handle the deployment patterns, the monitoring, the management, and the orchestration of those applications. And all I want is my development community to just say, here's my code, run it in the cloud, I do not care how. And we're taking it a next step up. We're saying, okay, so we can run the containers, we can run your applications. Now let's talk about functions, or scale to zero applications themselves. Like, what can we do to wrap up the entire experience of a development community, from containers to source code to individual functions, and give them that same look and feel of just being able to say, I'm focused on my application, I'm focused on my development, let me push it to whichever cloud is out there, and Pivotal becomes that dial tone that I've got. So really the idea is, we now have that same experience for functions as we do for containers and for source code-based applications. So we want you, as our customers and as our potential customers, to take a minute and think about kind of that challenge that we talked about a little bit earlier. Like, why am I building platforms? Why aren't I building applications and building products? Because we've got a way that can actually help you deliver those products out to your consumers faster and easier. So I want to wrap up with a little bit about how we're actually working with the AWS team here with Pivotal, and what we're doing to actually deliver greater value to our customers, specifically when they're focused on AWS engagements. So we've got a very, very tight technological advantage with AWS. We've been delivering a service broker, which is brokering native AWS services, for a little over 2 years now. Started off with about 8 AWS native services being offered into the Pivotal platform, and we're now up to 26 of the native services that are inside of AWS being brokered directly into the Pivotal platform. So what that means is my developers, when they want to CF push an application, they can also CF create service and have it create any of those 26 native AWS-based services without them having to think of, how do I interact with it, what's the security, how do I manage credentials. The platform manages that all for them. We've also got Pivotal Container Service, which is now GA, running out on AWS. So if you want to have that same experience of a platform on-prem, off-prem, in a true hybrid cloud model, but for Kubernetes, we've got the answer for you. Pivotal Container Service is the easiest way for you to have a common Kubernetes orchestration layer and management layer while running the clusters both on and off-prem. And we've also got a quick start for the Pivotal platform that's out on AWS. So if you've never even had a chance to try the platform, you can go out and actually launch a Pivotal platform via a CloudFormation quick start that'll stand the platform up for you in about an hour and a half, and you'll have that experience for you to be able to test CF push, CF create service, right in your own AWS account. And not only that, but if we were to look at like what we're doing from a business relationship standpoint, so we've actually got a way of working with Amazon directly to you, our customers, and get you credits so that you can try that platform in your own environment, and we'll help subsidize it. So we have one of the highest partnership tiers with AWS. We're inside of their ISV Accelerate program, so we've got ways of actually helping our customers deliver workloads to AWS via Pivotal faster. We've got ways of actually helping people create new workloads on AWS on the Pivotal platform faster. And we're working in a joint relationship to where we're actually strategically working with AWS sellers and AWS teams to help you all focus on, how do I get my applications out to the AWS cloud on the Pivotal platform faster and easier. And we do it in a couple of different ways, whether it be through credits, whether it be through AWS actual funded engagements to move workloads, or even ways of us actually accelerating the creation of those workloads on the AWS cloud delivered on the Pivotal platform. So in my mind, and hopefully you all have an idea now, when I say, we've got the best way of people building and running applications on no matter what cloud it is, I hope you take a minute and think about the Pivotal platform going forward, and not only the platform, but how we as Pivotal can help you accelerate your journey to the cloud. So thank you very much for coming today.